People often are charged with a possession offense and then call and say, but I didn't actually possess it. It wasn't mine. What does that mean? What under the law does possession look like? Possession can be something in your hand or your purse or your bag or your backpack. Could be in your car. But what about a passenger in a car? What about somebody who is near some drugs that are in a vehicle or a bag or a home? There is constructive possession arguments that the state can make to say that you were in possession of those drugs, even if they weren't in your hand or your bag or your purse or your car. Constructive possession means you can exercise control over those items. Constructive possession is a weaker argument for the state, but they can still make that argument. Even if the drugs were not in your possession, they might try and bring charges against you, and it is really important that you reach out to an attorney and let the attorney know the full set of circumstances as to where the drugs were and why you didn't have possession of those drugs. If you're arrested for possessing drugs that were in an area where you and other people had access to, it is likely that you all or many of you would be charged. In that case, it's important to look at all of the facts and circumstances surrounding your presence in the location where the drugs were, the other people in that position, and what was going on at the time, so that a defense can be prepared for you. You know, when somebody's charged with a drug offense and they didn't even know the drugs were there, that is scary and upsetting. Your life is on the line when you had no idea that the drugs were there. Sometimes we can show that you would not have known that the drugs were there, or better yet, that you would have had no reason to know that the drugs were there. The good news is that the state has to prove that you knew or had reason to know that those drugs were there. So if you didn't know the drugs were there, but you ended up charged with a crime, reach out to an attorney so you guys can plan the proper defense. We're happy to help if you want to give us a call. From the standpoint of what can happen in worst case scenario, and being an attorney and saying, I want to make sure you're protected. What I can tell you is make sure you know the people that you're spending time with. If they're using drugs, there is a chance that drugs are around you. And if you're using with them, you probably know that they're there. Even if you are using drugs with someone, they don't necessarily tell you where their drugs are located. We need to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. My advice to you is to make sure you know who you're around and what's within your reach that you might be looking at charges for. I remember when I was young and people would be getting in and out of anyone's car. And even now today with Uber, you wouldn't know what's in your Uber driver's car, even if you were getting high with him. So you need to make sure that you have an attorney who can set forth those arguments. Even if you made a bad decision, that doesn't mean you need to have bad luck. You can always look at the circumstances. Make sure you know what's around you, and even if you choose to get into a vehicle where you know there's drugs, we don't have to make a bad decision become your bad luck. If you were in a position and Lady Luck was not on your side, and you ended up with charges that you should not have been charged with, call Addie's Law and we will help you fight these charges.